Well, good morning once again. Today's walk I'm beginning and ending in the village of Pirton in North Hertfordshire and taking in the sights between here and Deacon Hill and the small village of Pegsdon. It's a circular walk, so I'll finish back here in Pirton. The distance is approximately 6 miles or 10 kilometres, and this path called Wood Lane, as you come out of the village, is part of the Encircled way and the Chiltern Cycleway, and we'll divert off that once we get to Pegsdon and come back towards the village. Should take a couple of hours to do this, taking in some beautiful views, and it should be very spectacular and enjoyable this morning in this clear, crisp March sunshine. First part of the walk, just as you leave the village, is along this pathway, part of the Encircled way, that just takes you a gentle slope out of the village with pretty good tree coverage. It's always fairly dark along here, relatively speaking, due to all the trees, and particularly in summer when they're full of leaves. And during winter, this path can get pretty muddy. Although it's not rained for a week or two now, so it's fairly dry underfoot and is a pretty good surface. You'll quite often see runners, walkers, dog walkers, and certainly cyclists along this pathway. Though it does get quieter as you get towards the top of Deacon Hill. As we walk along over to the left, you can just see High Down Farm and High Down, which is another great place to take a walk. There's footpaths over there, and just in that direction the Pirton water tower, that's over to the right. It's a lovely walk straight out towards High Down and over the top towards Welbury, where you can also do another circular route that brings you back onto this path at the top of Knocking Knoll and back down into the village or towards Pegsdon. Turn off in the path just here. You can make your walk a little bit shorter by about 5 miles and take a left turn here. That takes you up over onto High Down, where you can follow the down over to the left over there, and you'll follow the pathway back down into Pirton. There's also another route over there where will take you towards Welbury, which is a nice walk in itself, and we'll do that another day. And for those that need it already, there's a nice little seat to sit on for a few minutes. But we'll continue on up the hill towards Knocking Knoll Nature Reserve. this point we're probably roughly about halfway up the hill to the Knockinall Nature Reserve. So it's a fairly steady incline all the way up there, and then once you get there it goes downhill for a while and pretty much undulates mostly upwards until you've reached Deacon Hill, and then undulates mostly downwards until you arrive back in Pirton. But it does undulate quite a bit, and it's not too extreme. The last bit getting up to the top of Deacon Hill is fairly steep, which I'll show you when we get there, and might be a struggle for those that are not quite so nimble on their feet. But this walk's certainly doable for most people, as long as you've got a reasonably sturdy pair of shoes, bottle of water on a warm day, and that's all you really need. There is a pub at Pegsdon, should you require a midway break, where you can get something to eat and a drink. It used to be called the Live and Let Live, the pub in Pegsdon, which had a bit of a poor reputation before it was closed down, changed name, owners, etc, etc. I've not been in since the new owners took over and the new branding, but I understand things are much better than they used to be when it was called the Live and Let Live. We're almost at the top of the first hill now, near Knockinall Nature Reserve, or Knockinall. Just looking back towards Pirton over there, and the pathway we've just walked up. That's called Tingley Wood over there. Quite often if you come here at a weekend, certainly bank holiday weekends, there's quite often the sound of shotguns going off in there during the pheasant hunting season. Don't be alarmed, they don't come anywhere near the walking track, and it's a well-marshalled event. This is the countryside after all, and that's the kind of thing that happens here. Interested in itself. That's probably the most activity you'll find up here on any given day. Right, we've reached the top now. A place called Knockinall. Now that pathway there leads from a place called Welbury. I mentioned earlier on about a circular walk you can do from Pirton over high down towards Welbury and back round. This is where you would come back out, and then you would continue back down the path there to Pirton. That walk is about 3 miles and slightly less hilly and undulating, but very picturesque all the same. We're carrying on this way today, going back through the woods in a moment. There's an old burial mound just there. If you Google Knockinall burial mound, there's a certain amount of information online about that. Nature reserves, you can go inside and walk around. There's nothing specifically in there, it's just literally that, a nature reserve for the butterflies and different flora and fauna that's unique to these chalk hills. We're right on the edge of the Chiltern Hills here. Now the circular walk, we're going to be continuing straight ahead there towards Deacon Hill, and then we will come back round down to Pegsdon, and then walk up from Pegsdon up this pathway here, and and eventually come back to where we are right now, take a left and walk back down into Pirton. As I say, you can have a walk round Knockinhoe Nature Reserve. It's very pleasant in there, and at different times of year there's different flora and fauna to have a look at, and quite often there's some sheep grazing in there as well. Doesn't appear to be any there today. Anyway, we'll carry on and head towards Beacon Hill. Right, we'll have to walk in approximately a mile or so, steadily uphill from the village of Pirton. We're going to start walking downhill for a little while now, and flat until we cross over the road between Hitchin and Barton and into a field and walk up towards Beacon Hill. It's a lovely little part of the walk just here, the tree cover. It's quite noisy and eerie on windy days, with the wind whistling through all these trees. But when they're in full leaf, you have got quite good cover. So if it's a warm day, it's nice relief from the sunshine and the heat for a little while as you walk through here. It always seems quite cool. After coming down from Knockinhoe, down here, we take a left turn towards the Barton Road, and just through the trees there you can see Beacon Hill, which will be the highest point on this walk. As I mentioned, it's fairly steep the last little bit to the top, where there's a Ordnance Survey trig pillar. I'll post a picture of the number of that, so you can Google that to find out exactly where you are on the map. Or look on an Ordnance Survey map, of course, if they are still a thing. I hope they are. So great. On the whole, this is a pretty well kept path the whole way round. You very, very rarely see litter, and to the point where I'll, generally speaking, give the culprit of that the benefit of the doubt and say that it probably landed there accidentally rather than deliberately. With a lot of walks, as many of you know, it tends to be by busy roadways where the litter is absolutely, well, a disgrace, frankly. There's no way that most of the litter that you see on the highways and byways of Britain has landed there accidentally. People have lobbed it out of their cars or thrown it on the street as they've gone along, which is pretty unforgivable, really. But I tend to find the further away you get from roads or busy walkways, the less people, of course, have come this way, and there's less chance of litter. And I tend to also find that the people that tend to make the effort to walk out in the countryside respect it and make sure they don't leave their rubbish behind. It's just a pity that everybody can't be like that. Ho-hum, such is life, I suppose. Anyway, we're just walking up towards the Barton Road now. That's quite a busy road, and you have to be careful crossing over it because cars do come along there at 60 miles an hour at times. So particularly if you've got children with you, make sure that they're being properly supervised while you cross over this part of the walk. It's the only time really that you'll come across any busy roads or anything else like that. Interesting thing really, isn't it? Just proves my point really, looking in there and just along here a bit. The nearer you get to a road and somewhere where cars can park, the more rubbish you find. I've barely seen any litter whatsoever walking up from Pirton, but yet we get to this little junction in the walk where I reach a road, and although it's not terrible, there's another face mask. I'm going to be floating around for a long time, I think. This area here unfortunately does attract fly tippers and people that think it's okay to sit and eat McDonald's and other such stuff, and then just throw it out their car windows and drive away. Yeah, that's going to stop them, isn't it? Anyway, this is where we cross over the road. It's quite a busy road, as I mentioned. It's not too bad this morning. Do watch out, they do come along quite quickly along here. And once you've safely negotiated that, got over this fence, into this field. It's quite often full of sheep, lambs at the right time of year. They're not here today. Where's they all gone to? And that is Beacon Hill. Doesn't look much from down here, but once you get up there, you get some fantastic views over Hertfordshire and Bedfordshire, which we're on the border of right here. Once again, it's used for tracks, people want to dump their rubbish and so on, and big on occasions people break into cars there. But if you do, don't leave any valuables in the car. Detritus lying about. Anyway, rant over, I'm not going to talk about what the shoes on. Continue up here. You can park there. Like climb over the fence into this field, through all this woods and back over the hill. The top of Beacon Hill, for this walk at least, is not quite the halfway point. But if you were to walk from Pirton to the top of here, and then just turn straight back round and go back to Pirton, which I do frequently, that's round about 4.5 miles in total. About 12,000 steps, depending on how big your strides are. All the way along the hills here, you'll see red kites such as that, hovering about the upward drafts from the hills, looking for little mammals to dive down and have for their lunch. Deacon Hill. This is the steepest part of the walk. It can get very slippy in winter, straight after rain or if there's any snow or ice on the ground. And it doesn't look that steep, particularly on the camera, but it is fairly steep. So you'll hear me huffing and puffing a little bit here. Originally there were some steps cut into the grass, but they're long since worn away, and in fact, especially when it's wet, it's even harder to walk on that than just the grass next to it. Got a few red kites flying around this morning, looking for their breakfast. Fitter than me. The top of the hill here is a lovely place if you bring a picnic or whatever, just to sit around, have a rest from your walk up here, and just enjoy the views all around. It can get quite wild, even though it's not particularly high here, but in the middle of winter it can be pretty blowy up here. Very calm day today, virtually no breeze at all, even at the top here. And to signify the highest point around this particular area, there's one of the OS trig pillars. And for those of you that like to Google such things, there's the number of it. Quite a hazy day today actually. You can normally see a little bit further than we can actually see. And the direction of the winds as well is blowing from the southwest very gently, but it does pick up the noise from Luton Airport. You can probably hear that on the film. Just hear the sound of aircrafts taking off or landing. But that's Luton Airport is probably at least 7 miles away from here, so it's incredible how the sound travels. And you can't see anything because the sun's completely in the way, but from the top of here you can quite often see them making an approach from from Stevenage, roughly over there, and follow the plane until it goes behind the trees to land at Luton Airport, which is way in the distance over there, if they're coming in over from that direction. Runway 26, as I recall from my airport days, if they're coming in that way, and 08 if they're coming in over Dunstable. Insignificant little factoid for you there. It's interesting ground workings here from when they were used to dig out the chalk. And down there is the village of Pegsdon, which will be the next civilization we walk through. Or in fact really the only civilization we walk through until we turn back on ourselves, go back towards Pirton. So we'll head off that way now. Although it's not as simple, you can walk more or less straight down that way. It does involve clambering over a fence and walking through that middle field there. And in the distance you can see some pathways in the field. But you do have to walk down some fairly uneven land to get as far as that. Well, I'm going to stick to the path, which is essentially walking over this way, and enjoy the views over there. I'd only go down that way direct to Pegsdon if I was short on time. It's much nicer going this way anyway. So you just follow across the ridge here towards that tree, and just follow the path all the way round. That cutting there, and we will eventually come out right the way over there. If you can see that, there's a car or a farmer's vehicle right the way over in the middle of the picture there. I think that Ryanair is on its way round coming over Dunstable on runway 08, and the noise we could hear earlier was aircraft taking off rather than landing, so taking off towards Stevenage. Fallen relatively silent again now the Ryanair's disappeared off. Really nice part of the walk this. So this is the part I would, unless I'm short on time, would not cut out. Great place for the kids to come and run around. All that space, you can just pop your blanket down there, sit and let them run around and explore, play hide and seek and all those games that kids like playing, or at least they did when I was a kid. Definitely hear a plane coming out on runway, taking off towards Stevenage. I'm not really obsessed with aeroplanes or anything like that, but I did used to work there once, so. Now as I can remember, there's always been a bit of rope hanging off the tree just beyond this one in the foreground. So a rope swing with a big bit of wood attached to it. And for a while there wasn't anything there, but it looks like someone's come along and tied the rope snapped, I think, and that was the end of that. But looks like someone's come back along and popped a rope swing back onto the tree. Always looks like someone's parachute has got caught in the tree there. Yeah, bring the kids, small ones or adult kids, and they'll enjoy having a little play on that. Your other alternative to get to this location, really, if you didn't want to either park at the slightly dodgy car park on the Barton Road or walk all the way from Pirton, would be to come to Pegsdon and walk up from there. It's not that far. I'd say it's about a mile at the most. All uphill, obviously, to here, and of course all downhill back again. There is a pub there. I presume they don't mind you using their car park if you're going to go in and at least have a coffee or a bath in there. There are other places to park, maybe Jenny makes Anyway, we'll carry on round now. All the way around that cutting there. And also walk into those woods there from the top. So it's quite steep to clamber down. But you can clamber down that hill and walk straight through the middle of those woods there. Out to the woods there. But I'm going to walk around the edge of it today. You get those nice views from here. Well, we've now actually moved on into the Pegsdon Hills Nature Reserve. Nothing much changes really, apart from the name. You quite often find some sheep in here, sometimes some ponies, lots of rabbits, and it's just generally a very pleasant place to walk. There's some lovely views over, well, the Bedfordshire really, over there in the haze. There's quite a few sheep over on the other side of the cutting there. No, we won't be walking past those. In fact, you can see that pathway there. That is another alternative route to get down into Pegsdon. It's quite pleasant across there. When you just get to the top here, you can walk through those trees and onto that pathway down. But I'm going to carry on round and take the second path in the distance. See what we see over there today. It really is a splendid morning for a walk out here. It's a Friday morning in March, and there really aren't too many people once you get up. In fact, even on a really busy bank holiday weekend, you won't really find that many up here. Strangely enough, when we were first locked down for COVID about 2 years ago, It was pretty much this time of year, and everyone was told they can't go anywhere. Everything was closed, and you should, and all you were allowed to do was go out for personal exercise. I came up here I think it was a bank holiday Monday, probably the May Day bank holiday Monday 2 years ago, and I've never seen so many people up here in all my life that were quite looking around in awe, really. I think they'd probably come from some of the local towns and had never been up here before, but because they were looking for things to do and decided to come out and get that exercise that we were authorised to do, they decided to come up here, which is great. And I expected to find that it continued to be busy after that, but no, not really. It's back to how it's always been, fairly quiet, peaceful walk, the odd dog walker here and there, the odd person jogging over these hills, but that's about it. But yeah, when this particular area just here, it was like a coach party had turned up to take photographs and go away again. It was quite surreal, really. Never seen anything quite like it, but that didn't continue because I guess there's other things we can do now. It really is very pleasant up here, though. There's no shops, cafes or bars or anything else like that, so you have to bring your own things if you want to. It's another fabulous place to sit and have a picnic on that cherry stone. We'll walk past there shortly. Just have to walk around the edge of these houses. So you can, at the end there, start walking down, for want of a better term, the valley, and just wade your way through all the long grass and so on, all the way down there till you come to a path, and that will also take you back to Pegsdon. That's quite pleasant going down there. It's different. Well, if my step counter's anything to go by, this is pretty much the halfway point from Pirton back to Pirton. In a moment we'll take a right turn, and it's predominantly downhill all the way to Pegsdon, where we'll walk through the village, down a farm track, and then there is another hill back up towards Knocking Knoll. Once you're at Knocking Knoll, it literally is all downhill back to Pirton. And as they request, please don't forget to put the rope back around the post, keep the doors, the gates locked, so the animals don't escape to the bits they're not supposed to be in. I'm still waiting to see a polecat up here. Most of the other stuff you will see. I don't think I've seen a buzzard either. But you certainly see the other stuff. Now that really is a seat with a view, you've got to agree. It's fantastic just in there to just sit and get your flask out and have a cup of tea or a bottle of water or something, and just look down there. Just see Pegsdon. And if you're that way inclined, the phone to the pint is waiting for you there if you come at the right time. Not that I would condone such activities, of course. Now, if you come up here in the middle of winter, when it is or has been very rainy, it gets really muddy just here. And very, very, very slippy. Incredibly so. And in fact, this bit here, on many occasions I've nearly actually slipped down that hill. It is that slippy, even with good walkie boots on. You can, and I don't mean ice, just wet, very, very, it must be the slippiest soil in the world just here. And literally, you need to hang on to these trees. That's when it's really, really wet. Generally speaking, it's not too bad. In fact, considering how little rain we've had for a while, even here you can still see that the soil is still quite damp compared with everywhere else. That's really nice walking down there as well. Quite often the cattle are lurking about down there. Or the ponies. Can't see either today actually. But we have got some sheep down there. And looks like the farmer may be down there too doing something, so I'll go and have a look and see what's happening there. Really is quite a nice gentle walk from the top of Beacon Hill and entering into the Pegsdon Hills Nature Reserve and down to Pegsdon itself. Feels like the hard work's done, when in fact it's not actually, because there's some more uphill to do once we get past Pegsdon. These guys are usually pretty friendly. And they're sometimes out on the walkway here rather than in the field. And unlike most sheep, they do tend to come up and have a look at you. Where we've just come from up there, all across that ridge, and the trig pillar is just hiding amongst those trees there. Doesn't really look like much of the hill from down here, but that's Beacon Hill. I'm going to carry on walking straight down towards Pegsdon. However, you can divert off slightly, go off to the right through that gate and down there into the lower level footpath down the bottom. back towards the village of Pegsdon. We're going to go this way. It's you end up in the same place. Not really much in it, to be fair, except you walk through slightly soggier ground on a wet day. Love it up here. Well, we've now arrived in the small village of Pegsdon and back to that busy Barton Road. It's the same one we crossed over earlier on. And back up there is Deacon Hill and the Pegsdon Hills where we've just been. Just we cross over the road and walk through the pub car park and then head on our way back up to Knockinall and Pirton. Well, here's the pub in Pegsdon that I mentioned. It's recently changed hands yet again and has now got a new name called The View. As far as I understand it, things are vastly improved here. It's been totally revamped, smartened up completely and made to look a lot nicer. Although it does look like a bit of work still going on here, but it is open for business. But 20 years ago, when this place was called the Live and Let Live, it had a good reputation and it was a great place to come for a walk, sit out there and enjoy the views over Pegsdon Hills. Now, they've changed the name to The View and that's probably a good name for it. But when it was the Live and Let Live, the last time I came was, I think, about 5 years ago on Mother's Day, and it was an utter shambles. There is no other word to describe it. In fact, it made Faulty Towers look pretty good. As I say, it's now changed hands, and if you are passing this way, I'd say you're well worthwhile popping in, giving it a try, having a cup of coffee or a pint, maybe even something to eat. But it's a good stopping off point, certainly for the view that you have while you're sat there having your drink on a nice day. It's absolutely fantastic. It's a shame that the previous management let it fall into complete disrepair and Basil Fawlty-esque service. But don't let that put you off anymore. I think there's appeared to be improving the car park as well, which was completely potholed and a mess. That appears to be addressed at the moment, although it's certainly not finished yet. Anyway, let's carry on back to Pirton. There's also accommodation with them. Well, that's interesting. I was just walking through the car park of the pub there called The View, and I noticed a friend of mine who's a chef who now works there, and absolutely assures me that they've got 120 people for Mother's Day this weekend and everything will be running smoothly and all the problems of the past have completely gone. New management, which is great, so I will come back and visit there at some point. Because like I say, Faulty Towers, it made Faulty Towers look good the last time I went in there. But it's nice to know that it has changed hands and it's safe to at least go and grab some food and a drink there. Just leaving Pegsdon now and heading on out on the Chiltern Way extension. As you can see, it's a public footpath, and then you come to this sign which says private road. But that's just for cars really. This is leads down to a farm, and while it's perfectly okay to walk down here or take your bike, you can only go so far, and then you divert off onto the Chiltern Way. And but it's quite clearly signposted where you need to go and where you shouldn't go. This is just a normal tarmac road, just for a quarter of a mile, and then we walk back up over the hills towards Knocking Knoll again. Like a lot of places in the UK, certainly around here, you get these microclimates, little mini microclimates, and this little bit here around this tarmac road, if you come here on a hot summer's day, it seems to be about 10 degrees hotter than everywhere else you were, and in winter it seems to, when it's cold, it seems to be 10 degrees colder. It has a massive difference in temperatures compared with the surrounding area, which is quite interesting. And it gets very slippy on here as well, though there's gravel. When there's ice on the ground, it really can be quite treacherous if you run along there. Won't be long before these fields are full of wheat again. Back in the day, of course, the wheat gone off, or still goes off to make bread and so on, and the straw used to go off to Luton to make the straw hats that Luton are famous for. Luton being about 8 miles or so from here. In the olden days, if you saw someone wearing a straw boater made in Luton, it could well have come from this field here, or many of the other fields around. Right, but I think it's quite clear from this sign which way you're supposed to go and which way you're not supposed to go. I think before they put this sign here, people used to just carry on walking, didn't notice that there, and carry on down there into the farm. So, let's go this way then. Once you get up this little grassy bit between the two fields, you've got a choice of two ways here. If you like walking up steep steps and undulations across the top on the other side of those woods there, then go that way. And if you don't like that, then you can take the path to the left down to the corner of that field, turn right, and it's a steady, steep path all the way back up to the top of Knocking Knoll. Either way, up the steps or turn left, you'll end up in the same place. That's the pub back in Pegsdon, just in the distance there. Probably could do with a bit of maintenance. This gets very boggy and muddy during the winter, and not the easiest thing to walk up because of the way the soil is worn away and stuck onto people's muddy boots, I would imagine. So you sort of have to walk on the either way around. If you're a bit unsteady on your feet, this is probably not the best way to come, particularly if it's wet and slippery. Once you've navigated the steps, it's just a steady climb up. Great place for picking up cones if you like, collecting cones, spraying them silver, and making them look nice for Christmas. A good place to collect them here. Right, back in the distance over there is Deacon Hill, where we were an hour or so ago. And the colour of this field is virtually white, which is very indicative of the fact, the very high chalk content inside the soil, and the lumps of chalk that you can see. Kids love picking that up and taking it home and writing all over your walls at home and the your patio in the garden, and who can blame them? That's pretty much it for this walk. As once I get over the brow of this little hill here, I'll come to the path that leads us back up to the Knocking Hoe Nature Reserve and the end of the loop part of this walk. The remainder's just a downhill walk back into Pirton, which I won't film because you've already seen that coming up the hill. So if you've enjoyed this video and want to see any more, press the subscribe button and the like button, and you'll be notified when I do some more.